And right, it's nice to meet you. My name is Stass. Can you please tell me your full name?
Well, my full name is Bùi Thị Khánh Hà.
Very nice to meet you here. And do you want me to call you Kanya?
You can call me Hà.
Ha. Okay. Nice to meet you. Very nice to meet here. Now, let's see. So today we're going to mostly focus on your introduction to everything that we will do here, and mock test. We'll see what we can do better to achieve your goals. Before that, I want to ask you a few questions. Have you taken the IELTS test previously?
I haven't taken any tests yet, and I'm going to take my first IELTS test this December.
So when is it going to be exactly?
I think it will fall during, I don't know, like 2022 or before Noel. Christmas before Christmas.
22nd of December, you think?
Yes.
Okay, so we have very limited time then. And do you want to practice writing as well?
I am studying IELTS writing right now, but I think I wanted to work on my reading skill as well. Like I face a lot of trouble with writing and reading.
Well, writing, we can have separate lessons for that. I teach writing really well. I can teach you nice strategies and structures that will make writing enjoyable. But as for reading, you need to simply be able to complete a lot of reading IELTS tests and pick up vocabulary from there. Just keep doing them. There's no other trick there. You just need to do a lot of reading tests to get used to that structure. I wouldn't recommend anything else. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, right. So for speaking, so we need to actually speed up somehow. We need to have more lessons in general because I didn't realize that we'll have so little time. It's basically just 3 weeks, right?
Yes.
But actually, if possible, I recommend this to all of my students. If possible, could you move the lesson further a little bit, like at least 1 month, so you could take it in January?
In January, it's like
The point
I
is like this.
don't
You can think about this more, but the point is that you need more time. 3 weeks might not be enough. It's just it's easier to have a bit more time to prepare, and you can discuss this with your parents or whoever cares about this. You think about it yourself and just maybe think about February, January. Maybe you can move it further a little bit. Yeah.
Like I totally understand that, but my situation is kind of different from my friends. So I don't necessarily need an IELTS for university because I'm going to like art school and they just don't need us to have an IELTS certificate. So the reason why I take the IELTS just because I wanted to have a certificate. And the minimum, like at least get a 6.5 band, I think, because I have studied in a center, like a place to where they study IELTS, and they score me about 6.5. So I think that is my background.
So what's your goal in speaking?
My goal in speaking, I would go for like 7.5 if possible.
That's pretty high, and it's definitely possible, but you need a lot of good vocabulary there. Reading helps, right? So you definitely need to do some reading in the background as well.
Yes.
Also, you said don't necessarily. We say, yeah, I don't necessarily need to use the certificate to apply for university, right? So
Yes.
you don't need that there, all right?
Yes.
Now then, we have, well, you understand the situation. You can think more about it, and if you really care about the result, then I still recommend taking a bit more time to prepare. Yeah, so if possible, maybe January, February, or maybe at least one more week in December, something like that. You can think about that more if possible, right? So if you haven't booked it yet, well, if not possible, then okay, we work with what we have. Now, for let's see, any other background information you'd like to give me? Yeah.
I think that's enough.
Do you have you prepared like a presentation with any questions for me?
I was
Or
planning to, but I just haven't written it down yet.
well, it's fine. So you don't have to make it like a proper presentation. You just ask right away from the start.
Yes.
So do you have any questions for me or anything you'd like to discuss specifically before we begin?
I think we should begin so you can give me instant feedback.
Yeah, of course. All right. So nothing really to discuss before we begin then, right? Okay. So let's take a look at your responses here, shall we?
Okay.
If at some point you stop hearing me clearly, you should let me know, okay?
Okay.
So as I've mentioned, and as it's written here, it takes about, let me see, well, it takes about several days to finish. So yeah, I recommend to do like one, let's see, one exercise or a couple exercises per week. Yeah, I've actually removed that section. I used to have a section here that said that it takes 1 week to finish, but some people get scared. So I decided to remove that and simply mention that if you feel overwhelmed, you should break it into smaller steps. Yeah. But normally it's designed for a week of worth of work, about 2.5 hours. You see, there's a lot of people have done this before, and this is not like the first version of the homework. And you can see how they have done this as well. You get that link at the end. So you can pick up some information from there as well to see how people work. So I've had a lot of students complete this. Now you started about 2 hours ago, and let's see, recently you've learned to choose, what's appeal? Can you introduce that to me? What do you know about it?
Peel is, I think it is a technique or so-called a strategy when you're talking or doing IELTS speaking. So P stands for points. E, the first E is example. The second E is, I think I forgot, and L is linking.
How does linking work here?
Like using words like firstly, secondly, or moreover, furthermore, and looking back.
That doesn't seem very helpful, because of course we need to use linking. It's like you can't have an answer without linking. You do that naturally, automatically. If you start thinking about it, that's when problems start to appear, right? So you get confused, or you start hesitating. Yeah, when you start thinking, oh, I should use this structure right now, you don't have time for that. Yeah, you just grab whatever comes, and that's instant. You don't have time to think much. So I don't understand that linking, like, okay, of course you need it. And then, well, as you said, you forgot one of the letters, and then you basically have a point and an example. Well, that's the most basic thing, of course. I would add 3 steps. Answer. Well, not add. I would just talk about 3 steps here. Yeah.
Oh, so the second E is like explanation.
Well, yeah. So there's a simpler structure, and that works a little bit better. So you start with an answer, right? What does that mean?
You
Or the point or the answer, what does that mean?
Point, like you give out your point and you give an explanation, and after the explanation you'll give an like example to further portray your point, and the last is to use like linking words so that it will feel more natural.
Well, linking words, again, it shouldn't be like a separate thing. It's like, why do you specifically talk only about linking words? You also need like good vocabulary, some sort of idiomatic language, pronunciation. You need chunking, make sure your speech flows, the endings of words combine with the beginnings of other words, right? So a lot of things, why only linking, right? So it doesn't make sense to single it out. But the first three parts, I agree on that. However, point doesn't really make sense there. I call it answer. So firstly, you need to give a direct answer. Yeah.
Okay.
Some students overthink and they don't give a direct answer. So that could be a question like, have you, do you, would you, right? And you just need to say, like, yes, I have, yes, I do, yes, I would, no, I wouldn't, right? Depends. You need to give a direct answer. You can give it at the end, in the middle, doesn't matter, right? But you still need to give it. Some students skip it and that lowers your score. And the answer could be what? Could be like yes, for example, right?
Okay.
Or no. What other types of answers do you know?
The thing is like neutral, like you both um like you both agree but also disagree on that
Well,
problem.
depends. It's called depends, right?
Okay, it depends on the subject.
Depending. Any other? So when you give a yes answer, like we can pick any random topic here. That's my list of questions I have here, and like something like, is it better to rent or buy a place to live in? What would be the answer there? Only the answer part, nothing else. The direct answer.
Also, I will answer these questions.
Just take a look at this one. Yeah, is it better to rent or buy a place to live in? Like, what is the first part of that structure that we're talking about, right? The answer part. How would you handle that here?
Is giving the direct answer.
Yeah, so what is it? Yeah,
Yes
can you give it?
or no?
No, it doesn't have to be yes or no. Just, I mean, you need to answer the question. So, is it better to rent or buy a place to live in?
Well, for me, I would choose it is better to rent because buying a place to
Wait,
live.
you don't need to justify yet. Yeah, just the answer. So what is it again?
My answer is it's better to rent.
How can you paraphrase that? Right now you're borrowing words from the question.
Okay.
Well, what do you know? Like, what ways can
Like
you
paraphrase the words that are given.
Yeah. Just use what you know.
Well, for me, renting a place to live is a more suitable choice than buying a place to live in.
Than buying. Yeah. Because again, place, then you repeat that place to live in. You try to avoid repeating all of the words from the question as much as you can. Yeah. That's like a little game. You always play this game in IELTS where you try not to repeat the same words. Basically, don't borrow them from me. I've used them already, so you try not to use them.
Okay.
Like in writing, you know that in writing you paraphrase in task 1, task 2, right?
Okay. Yes.
So it's the same here, but you need to think fast. And if nothing comes to mind, what do you do? Like how to not use the words if you can't paraphrase them? Is it better to rent or buy? What do you say?
I think that if you don't have any ideas or come up with any words, I think the last choice is to borrow it.
There's another thing. Well, first of all, in simple questions like, do you like fruits? You could just say yes or no. Yes, I do. No, I don't, right? You don't borrow any words, right?
Yes.
Apart from do. Here, you can use a similar kind of structure of thinking. You can say I choose the first one or the second. Well, I think this is the first. Well, we actually have a special kind of structure for that. Do you know? First and second, when there's only two.
I know.
So what is it?
Like, sorry, what do you mean? Of like, the like renting a place come first and buying a house.
It's called former and latter. You know that?
No.
So you have first and last, basically.
Okay.
In simple words, second first, or first second, or first last, or the best is former latter. Former means first, latter means second. So how would you use that here? It doesn't matter what you choose, I just want you to use that. So is it better to rent or buy?
I think the first choice is more suitable than the second choice.
Well, we can say, yeah, former, latter, right? So the former is more suitable than the latter. That's it. Try it.
What? The formal is...
I've written it in the chat. Yeah, former.
The
former.
Former.
Yeah, the former and the latter. Latter, if you want to use British.
The former is more suitable than the latter. The latter.
That's perfect. Yeah, that sounds really natural. And you don't need to immediately look for paraphrase if you don't know. But if you forget about this, I mean, if you forget about former and latter, well, you know, second first, or second, I mean, first and last. Yeah, the first option is better than the last option, right? You can say.
Okay.
Or you can say, I'd prefer the first. Or I think most people would prefer the first. Can you try?
Well, I think most people would rather the first.
No, would rather doesn't work like that. Would rather what? You need a verb. Would rather.
Would rather choosing.
Pick, not choosing.
Would rather pick. I think that most people would rather pick
the former.
The former.
And that's a perfect answer. Yeah, already. Like, I mean, that couldn't get any better. That's band 9, especially if you can say, like, you know, naturally. What does naturally mean? It includes a few things, right? Flowing speech, intonation, yeah, and appropriateness of what you're saying. So it doesn't sound like you're memorizing, but it's not a problem in your case, from what I can see. Now, and that only includes the answer part, right? So we have how many parts, according to me? We have answer, then we have explanation, yeah?
Yes.
Which is also, there are also many options there. And then at the end, well, you can give an example as well. So we have an explanation, an example. This structure is like a quick structure for when you feel like you're starting to get stuck, or like you don't understand the topic very well. You feel stressed, tired. Maybe you can't continue for some reason, right? You start using the structure. It's not something you normally use. And normally you just answer naturally, whatever comes. Yeah, whatever comes, that's the best. That's number one. You know why? Why is using this structure is a secondary choice? Why is it not the first choice? Why is the first choice grabbing, like, off the top of your head, things that come to you? Why is that the first choice?
Like you're asking about the appeal or the question?
So we have two options, right? The first option is to simply say what you have in your mind, what comes to you naturally. Yeah, something appears in your head, some vocabulary, some structure, you immediately grab it and use it without thinking. Yeah, that's one option. And the second option is to use this structure: answer, explanation, example. Not the peel. I don't know peel. I don't like it. I like what I know. So answer, explanation, example. So this structure is secondary to just speaking naturally without any structures. But why? Why is using any, not just this structure, any structure in general, using any structure, why is it secondary? Why is it not so great?
Because I think like our nature is to not following any rules. So we just say what that come up with our mind and forget about everything that we have learned.
What did you say? Come up with our mind? Can you try that again? That's a mistake.
What?
We try to say.
I was saying that it is our nature to say whatever come up first,
Whatever
whatever
comes
up in our minds, instead of remembering or using any structures in speaking.
But why? That's you're just repeating what I've said. But why?
Why? Oh, maybe
Mhm.
they just don't know. They just don't
Who they?
conscious about what they're
You're saying they.
saying.
Who's they?
People?
Yeah, you can't say it like that, just they randomly. Well, just people then more specifically, but we don't need that people or they here. It's impersonal here, right? So we're just saying it's better to do this, not they or people. It sounds like you are not part of people. Are you an alien? You know, that's how it sounds.
Okay.
So because it's in our nature, that's what the reason is in your view?
Yes, that is, I think,
But
is my view. Or
why is that better for IELTS speaking? How's that connected to IELTS?
what? How is our nature connects to
Yeah,
IELTS?
I mean, why does that give you a higher band in the end? Wouldn't be like wouldn't using a structure be a better choice than no structure?
I think that IELTS is to test your ability, and they kind of have the, like tables that they set up for scoring. So
You're talking about like bands,
yeah, they
band
have
descriptors.
specific bands, and if you follow the structure right or deliver what they ask for, your band would be high.
Higher.
So,
Look, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the opposite, that using a structure is going to reduce your score compared to not using it. Why is that?
oh, maybe sometimes you will like for example, me, if I use the structure strictly, I may sound very stiff, not
Mechanical.
natural.
Yeah. Very good usage of words. I like that. Stiff. Perfect. That's what we need for band 7 or higher. Yeah. Well, but in what way? Like, how does that manifest? Do you know?
I think that I will consciously recall like the structure.
Subconsciously, not consciously. Subconsciously means you think about that. Yeah.
Okay. I will subconsciously repeat the sentences that I heard a lot when I do the IELTS speaking.
It doesn't really make much sense, to be honest. But okay. So, any other ideas?
I don't know, because we are not normally asked this topic. So
Which topic?
the topic that the IELTS brings up, I guess.
What? That doesn't make any sense. IELTS doesn't bring any topics. You mean speaking? Well, okay, the topics that are used in IELTS, and there's not one specific topic. There are a lot of topics, and I'm sure some of them are like exactly what you like to talk about. It's not always, it's not always something you don't normally talk about. So it's weird to say that, yeah. But okay, I like your ideas. That's great. You should be more confident. Like, I like the way you speak, the way you express your ideas, even though they don't always fit. It's good to show the willingness to talk, right? In IELTS. That's one of the first things. Look, so you're already scoring higher because, for example, band 7, you have able to keep going and readily produce long turns, right? So that means you're ready to produce, and you show me the willingness to speak. Yeah, you show that you want to speak. And the more you show that, the higher the band goes here in fluency. It's part of fluency. It's not the only thing. Yeah. But if you want to get a 7.5, you basically need to look at 8, because 7.5 is 8 with mistakes. So you can't get 7.5 if you don't know what you need. I'm not really going to show you here now. You can study it later. It's not that important. I'll explain it in better words. But I mean, you can still, of course, read it up just to know what's happening. Anyway, the real reason why using structures is inferior to speaking naturally is because when you use structures, you have to micro pause in your head to use them. And the examiner is a person who has heard English speech since they were born. And that means they have much more experience in English than you, maybe 10 times over or 100 times over. And they will notice every tiny bit of hesitation that you produce, right?
Okay.
It's just natural. They will notice that. And we want to get rid of that. We want to get rid of all kinds of hesitations, because we have a lot of them. You think about grammar, which word to use, which idea to use, logic, fluency, how to pronounce that, right? A lot of layers there. So the more layers you remove, the more fluent your speech becomes. Yeah? Do you understand what I'm saying? Or do you want me to repeat?
So if we're talking naturally, so we will like kind of flow and don't have to pause, right?
You remove one layer there. So having a structure is a one more layer. You know the word layer?
I know.
Yeah, so there's one more layer of like processing that your brain has to do, apart from thinking about grammar, apart from listening, apart from even just being in the room, sitting straight. Your brain already has to do that, right? On top of everything else, even breathing, looking, smiling, whatever. Yeah, on top of that, speaking foreign language, all of those things, they all come crashing at you during the test. And if you have one more layer of these structures, then you'll just hesitate more. You might even just black out completely. I mean, like you can just get stuck and that's it, right? This happens to people with structures. Or the examiner might just not want to wait for you to think of that structure fully and just move on to the next question. Anyway, structures are okay if you perfect them. So any structure you use, you need to practice that structure a lot. Otherwise, you'll have to stop a lot to think about it. And better, even better to just have no structures, to just internalize them in a way that you don't need to think about them. Or maybe not even internalize, just use your own style, the way you have been brought up, the way you speak. It's normal, natural to you. So you don't need to think about those things. And that's what we're training for, like perfect IELTS scores, like 8, 9, maybe even 7.5. You need more of this naturalness, natural, being yourself, yeah? But yes, if you feel like you're slipping away, that you cannot speak naturally anymore anyway, so might as well use a structure. If your answers start becoming really short in part 3, or maybe if the topic is too difficult for you, you can also add another step there, which is let me add it here. So we have like answer, explanation, example, and you can also add your comment. That means you can comment on the example, and it doesn't mean you talk about yourself personally, because that's forbidden in part 3, but you can like comment on the situation, on the example, and give some like personal thoughts at the end, right? How does that make you feel? Like in part 2, you have usually the last question, how did that make you feel, or something? Yeah, so feels, comments, thoughts, you can add that at the end. You can use this structure in writing as well for task to body paragraphs. But there you need to know a few other things. So don't just borrow blindly. Now, this strategy is pretty simple, and I've already told you. We have the first step, the answer. What can you do with it? You can already paraphrase that. Instead of just saying yes, or just picking one of the things, you can start showing your ability with the first step, right? What's the second step?
Explanation.
Right. So, well, that's self-explanatory, right? How do you begin? Like, why did you choose renting over buying?
I will take my experience, I think, as an example for this. So, as a student,
That's an example. You need a general explanation first. So look, we move with the explanation and example. They go together. We move from general to
micro.
To specific. General, specific, specific, specific. And that could be many levels. So there could be like explanation, a more specific explanation, then a more specific explanation, then an example, and then a more specific example, right? There could be many, many levels there. And you choose how you want to structure that. But at the very least, you can have like one general explanation and one more specific example. Can we use personal examples in part 3?
In part 3,
like for example, speaking about yourself, you could say like, I prefer to rent over buying. Is that good in this question or not good? I prefer to rent over buying. That matters to me a lot. Like, is that okay to say here or not?
Is okay.
It's not okay because it's a personal opinion in part 3. How do you do writing? Like task 2, are you allowed to write your personal opinions there in task 2? As in like that concern you only?
Maybe.
It's the same. You're not allowed to do that. You should choose general examples.
So both part 2 and part 3 should be general.
I'm talking about task 2, writing.
Okay, writing.
Yeah, just so you know, because it's very similar to part 3 in the way it's approached.
So task 2 writing has to be very general, and you cannot add your like personal comment onto that.
A personal example, that means talking about yourself. Like, for example, you talk about, let's say, statistics or general things, and then you say, well, I do it like this, or my uncle does it like that, so it must be true. You cannot do that.
Okay.
And in part 3 as well, your family, your friends, not the best. Better to say just people in Vietnam, in my country, in the world. Yeah, do that. That's much better. It's, yeah. So we start with something general explanation, and then an example that doesn't involve you or your friend or your family member. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you could try that. So why do you prefer? Why do you think people prefer to rent? Why is it better to rent?
Because most of the time the apartment, they have furnitures. They have the furnitures and a smaller space to, like, my ideas is they have furniture, so you don't have to shop. And living and renting an apartment also gives you like is cheaper than buying a house.
Cheaper. Well, maybe not in the long run, but yeah. You said something about furnitures. Did you know that it's uncountable?
Furniture, we cannot count furniture.
Yeah. It's okay. Can we count this word?
Yes.
No, you cannot count advice.
Why advice us?
You can say pieces of advice, but not the device itself. Well, there's some words. How about, well, this one you know for sure, right? This is countable, right?
Yes.
Homework. Is it countable?
I think yes.
It's uncountable.
Oh, shoot.
How about a word? Can we say it like this?
A word? No.
No. Can we say informations?
No.
Why not?
Informations. There's a lot of information, so I think is countable.
It's uncountable. You cannot say informations.
But I saw a lot of like articles where they use informations.
Well, you should then question, like, who wrote those articles. I mean, question those people.
So I have to relearn a lot.
No, not a lot. Just a few things. These are common things that I hear Vietnamese students make mistakes in, like homeworks or something. But it's fine. It's not too not that big of a deal. One grammatical mistake is not going to lower your score from 7.5 to 7. Anyway, now well, let's try this again. You said so. It's furniture, right? Furniture, and is that an explanation or an example?
For example, my friends, she's
Exactly the example that we can't use in part 3, as I told you.
Oh, part 3 speaking. So we have to like say from our experience.
Experience, but generally, right? Speaking. So generally speaking, your friend, what kind of like person is that? Is that a student or like a younger person, younger generation, right? So you can paraphrase it like that instead of saying my friend. You can turn that into a general, like some sort of, well, population, like part of the population.
Students.
Yeah, younger, so university student, high school students. You can specify with details. Yeah.
Like university students.
What kind of university students? You can specify further.
What kind?
Well, yeah, there's so many kinds of university students.
I am thinking like there's a lot of universities, so I have to point out where they study.
That's not the only way, no. But of course, that's one way. University students who study linguistics or languages or economics,
Okay.
That's not what I mean. That's just one way. What else can we, how else can we, specify that? Rich, poor, yeah? Older, younger,
so she is
high performing, lower performing. There's many ways you can, it doesn't matter who she is even, it matters what you say here in this topic. So what kinds of, give me like 5 different kinds of university students.
Like some of them will be like they're rich, they have family, their parents to pay for stuff.
No. So a rich is one. Okay. What else?
Rich one and the poor one.
Rich and poor, that's one. Okay. What how else can we identify them?
Busy.
Busy or what's the opposite?
Unemployed.
They're not supposed to be employed. It's against the law. Well, not really, but okay. Like those who are lazy, maybe, I guess you could say.
So some are a very hardworking student.
Yes, less productive, more productive. What else? It's a good IELTS kind of warm-up. You have to think of something and think of like 5 to 10 different types or kinds of that. Like music, buildings, moods, people, older people. Like older people can also be separated into many categories, right? You don't just say older people. You can specify what kind of older people, right? Students, what kind of older students? So that enriches your vocabulary. Your speech becomes more colorful, more descriptive. Yeah, it becomes more interesting. Like imagine a person who always says university students. versus versus a person who always who tries to add one more like specifying adjective to that. So richer university students, or those who find themselves in a better socioeconomic situation, right? You can paraphrase it in many ways. Sounds much better. What other kinds of university students do you know?
Some of them like work from home, but some will like have to work outside. Like,
we don't say at home and outside. It's home versus office, yeah, not home versus outside. What do you mean? Like, are you talking about studying or working? Because students don't work normally, but that's another actually thing. Working students versus non-working students, right? Those who have a job, those who don't have a job, those who study from home, or those who study from cafes. Maybe that's what you meant. What else? Those who are from Vietnam, and those who are
Vietnam,
from other countries.
Like,
yeah, for example, well, not necessarily. Well, yeah, whatever comes to mind. But I mean, you could specify right, Vietnamese, like, because you know that more. You might not know much about the students from other countries, right? So that's what you can specify. So, you know, Vietnamese university students, they do this, but I'm not sure about all the other countries. Maybe Chinese, Japanese, or other nations students, they do something else or do things differently. I don't know that. So that's how you can specify too. When you talk about people, you can always specify, you know, but the Vietnamese people do this, right? The Vietnamese students, they do that. They prefer that. That's a good way to start when you need to buy time, like rent or buy. You could say, well, according to what I know, and I know mostly, you know, the Vietnamese population, I don't really know much about other countries or outside of Vietnam. And then you continue your answer, right? So that's already a massive chunk of like vocabulary that you throw at the examiner, and they think, nice, that's a good starter, that's a good opener. It sounds very natural, because you cannot speak for all people most of the time. Have you been to many places abroad?
No, only like Thailand, that's all.
And even then, you can't speak for those people. You've just been there once, right? So
yes,
that's what I mean, right? Details, and details. That's what we need. Writing, speaking, no matter what. Always expand, like how. There's another thing, yeah? We have how. What does that mean? Adverbs. How. Vietnamese students often, like lower level speakers of English, they don't use adverbs. So adverbs to verbs, actions, what's happening. You can always qualify that. Quickly, slowly. Those are basic. You can add whole sentences. To replace quickly, you can add a sentence. To replace slowly, you can replace it with a sentence, right? A short part of the sentence, maybe. So adverbs, how things happen, is also great. So details about who people are. Questions? You can also about people. How else can we like segmentize them? Like segments of population, they could be split by what? Very commonly in the UK, especially
the income.
Yeah, and we call that. How do we call that?
Class something.
Exactly. Class, middle class.
Yeah, upper
working
class, working class.
Upper. How else can we say that? Well, yeah. In other words, like socioeconomic status or level. Yeah, many ways there to describe that. And that's all part 3 is about, right? Usually people, their choices. You could say middle class, university students, or university students who come from middle class families. Can you try?
Most university students in Vietnam, as I know, come from the middle class or the working class.
Actually, so this is a finished sentence, but we can turn that into an unfinished sentence, which is better. So most students, Vietnamese students, or Vietnamese university students who come from middle-class families, prefer, you see, we have an unfinished sentence suddenly, and it's good because it's a longer sentence. You can try it yourself, right? I really like one thing about the way you study is that you take notes.
Oh,
That's really
a lot of notes. Like
that is very smart. It's very clever. I have a Japanese student, and she also likes to take notes. She's from Tokyo, and they study really hard there, so it's a good habit, I think. But most of my other students, they don't take any notes. But it's fine. Either way, I mean, some people learn better without writing, so it's up to them. Well, let's see. Yeah, is it better to rent or buy a place? What do you think?
I'm sorry, can you like
Is it better to rent or buy a place to live in?
applies to live
A place to
in?
live.
A place to live in. Okay. Well,
You can buy yourself some time. Show me how you buy time. What do you do? In part 3, you have 30 seconds to prepare your answer per question, right?
okay, so
Wait, is it true or not?
I think 1 to 2 minutes.
In part 3.
In part 3.
How many seconds do you get?
2 minutes?
No, that's part 2. How about part 3?
I forgot.
In part 2, you get 1 minute to prepare. In part 3, in part 2, yeah. In part 3, you get 0.
So you have to like jump right
instantly. Yes, of course. But if you know how to buy time, like that means you know what it means, right? So buy time means you say something to give yourself some time to think. Yeah. Well,
I will say to the examiner that
you say, let me think. That's it.
Think. Okay.
That's it. And you take your time to think. Just give me a moment to consider that. Just a moment, let me think. You can say something simple. Yeah, so that's what I want to test. How do you buy time? Tell me. You need some time to think? What do you say?
Please give me a moment.
Yeah. Give me a moment. Well, that sounds like you need to leave the room a little bit. So maybe a bit faster. Give me a moment. Something like that would be better. I need some time to think. Maybe you could try.
I need some time to think about this.
Well,
I need to think.
Strange. The way you say it sounds like you want to answer tomorrow, like the intonation you're using. Here we should like, let me think, like that. Can you try?
Well, let me think.
Yeah. Yeah. So intonation plays a big part because it conveys a lot of meaning as well.
Intonation. What is intonation?
Intonation.
Intonation.
To intone means to move your voice up or down, raise your voice, lower your voice, to add another layer of meaning there. Okay. So is it better to rent or buy a place to live in?
Well, for me, although
for me, it's not the best way to start part 3 questions because again, it's not about you.
Okay, I keep forgetting about the like the part 2 and part 3 they want.
Differences, you mean? Part 2 is very different from part 3. Part 3, you have 6 questions.
But when it comes to like general or personal, I forgot it.
I forget.
I forget.
Comes when it comes, not
when
come.
it comes to the part 2 or part 3.
No, just when it comes to part 2 or 3. Yeah. I understand. It's no problem. That's why you have me here. By the way, so from my experience, it's better to have longer lessons, especially if you have a test soon. So how about we keep this lesson 1.5 hours instead of 1 hour? Is that okay with you and your parents?
I'm thinking about it.
Because
Like,
I have so much I want to tell you. I want to teach you a lot today, right? So, and right now we are supposed to finish already in 10 minutes, and I'm afraid we just won't have enough time.
like, we can extend it to like 10 p.m. It's fine.
But
For
are you sure
people.
that's okay, like with your parents
It's
too?
totally okay because my family like go to sleep very late.
Goes,
My family goes to sleep very late.
but it's also about the money. Yeah, that's.
The money,
I mean, like it's more expensive too.
I think
I mean,
we all
I'm
know
just.
that it's gonna be very expensive. So
I mean, it's up to you. I'm not sure what you've discussed with your parents there or how it works, because you still have a certain amount of hours that we can study together, and we can like basically put those hours here now. I mean, it's not really going to be expensive. You just maybe instead of studying on a day when you're busy, we add another 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, and we basically move that lesson when you can't study to when you can by extending the lesson time, if you know what I mean. Well,
I have
I'm just
other days that I available. Is
that I am
I am available
avail,
avail-
avail,
available.
yeah. I mean, it's great. So you want to keep it 1 hour or 1 hour and a half? Like now, I feel like it would be nice to extend it until 10, just so we can study more. Because I really wanted to take a look at your, practice together, and we just need a bit more time for that. Would be nice, but it's up to you. Or if you're not sure now, you can discuss it with your parents first. Later, then we keep it 1 hour, and you talk later to them, and you think about it. Maybe 1 hour and a half is better per lesson. Some of my students who are really serious, they study about 2 hours with me per time. So 1 hour and a half is nothing unusual.
Like the hours, they are not like it's like the hours you can do whatever you want. Like I can do like 2 hours or 3 hours. It's okay.
Okay, just making sure that it's all clear, right, between us. I really want to give you more information. I see you're a very clever student. Like, I don't usually say this, but I see people who are serious and who take time to learn, and you seem like one of those students, and I think you need more preparation, like more serious studies, and we need more time for that, you know?
Yes.
Okay. Well, anyway, what are we talking about? So we are trying to tackle this question here using everything we've discussed so far. So ideally, it goes like this, right? You have a question, you buy some time. Let me think, whatever you like to say, it's up to you. It just needs to be natural, right? Not coming from me, but from you. So you buy yourself some time. You answer first, yeah, to not forget that. If you start with an explanation, you might forget the direct answer, so better to answer first, and you know that. You can say the former is best in my view. Yeah.
Okay.
You can start listening. Let me think. You count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is like maximum of 5 seconds. Then you can speak. Well, former seems like the right choice from my experience. Most people would prefer that. Yeah, that's the answer. And then you explain it. You can give an example. Examples are optional, only if they come naturally to you. Let's try it. Can you try it, please?
Try the part 3.
Yes. Yeah, this question. Is it better to rent or buy? This, how?
Well, I don't know. It's just kind of like saw what I think.
Yeah.
Like in this economy, it is getting harder and harder for young people, especially university student or graduate student, to buy their own house. So I think that the most obvious choice that they can choose is to rent a place to live in a small period of time. But in the long run, I know a lot of like adults or even graduated students, they expressed their thought that they really wanted to buy a house and like to possess a real estate for themselves. But the problem is always about the money. So I think that most people will choose to rent a place, and when they have enough money, they will choose to buy their own house.
Repetition of their own. Rent their own place or buy a house for themselves.
Okay, buy. I think that I'm repeating like words.
Some of them, it's okay to repeat. You can still get a 7, but it's always better to paraphrase, obviously. Yeah. I like the fluency. It's a little bit. We'll try to add a bit more emotion to your speech.
Yeah, because I was busy thinking and like.
I guess your English sounds fine. Like I've heard some people who speak with your kind of tone of voice, and it's not always like, it doesn't mean that you don't know English or something. It's just the type of speech. But yeah, you could consider maybe adding more emotions, yeah, to your speech a little bit. It wouldn't hurt, yeah. But if it's too hard, it's fine. Now here are a few issues we can discuss. You can see in the chat. So you said especially university. First of all, how do you pronounce that? Especially.
Especially.
Yeah, and especially university student or graduate student. And what's wrong with that?
I don't know. I just throw random shit that I think.
No. No, it wasn't random. It was fitting. The problem here is student should be
University
plural.
students.
Students, yeah, in general. So when we talk about general things, the nouns should be plural. Like I like car. You don't say that. I like cars. Yeah, or whatever noun you use. Especially in part 3, because it's general. Most of the nouns there will be in plural, so in endings. Then you said choices that they can choose. What's wrong there? Specifically, what's wrong?
Choices so they can choose.
The problem is choose, that's repetition already. Like choice doesn't sound right, yeah?
Oh, I just need to say that, especially university choose student. They have a lot of choices.
Students. They have a lot of choices that
that they can make.
Make a choice, yeah? So that's a collocation. Perfectly fine, yeah? So, or do we even need to say that? Like, do we need to say, like, we don't need to specify that. Just they have a lot of choices. That's enough.
They have a lot of choices.
And that's already done, right? Or they can make, you can add that, yeah, to show that you know the collocation. That's fine. But in reality, you don't really need that. Choices, yeah. A lot of choices for them to pick from. A lot of choices to pick from. That sounds the best. Now, you said next, you said rent in a small period of time. Anything rings a bell here? Anything not so great? Rent in a small period of time.
I think small period of time.
Right. What's the problem? How do we fix it?
I don't know. It just sounds off, and I don't know how to fix it.
Very nice English. Sounds off. That's advanced. Rent in a period. When we talk about time, what kind of period do we have of time?
Long.
Yeah, and
Short. Short
Yeah,
period.
exactly. You know it. You don't even need me here. You don't really need my help that much. Right? Within a short period of time, well, that's in general, that's also better. It's better to replace the whole phrase because renting already means that. Like, you usually don't rent, well, I don't know, like 20, 10 years. I mean, you could, but well, normally people pay like what, 1 year ahead, 2 months ahead. Well, that's already short period. So technically, you don't even need to just like explain that. If you're talking about renting versus buying, if you're talking about renting for a short time versus renting for a long time, then it makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Next, you said graduated students. Oh,
Like
graduate.
student that graduated that no longer like study at university.
We don't call them graduated. We call them more graduate
Graduate student.
students,
Graduate.
or well, if they are, if you want to emphasize that they graduated, then you don't say students anymore. I mean, they are no longer students if they are done with their studies, right? And graduate students means a little bit different. Well, just say students who graduated or graduates.
Yeah, student that graduates.
Graduates, right? Former students, students who have graduated. Yeah. Something about in the long run they wanted to buy a house. What's up with that? In the long
I don't know,
run.
my ideas is that they only rent for a short period of time, but their goal was always to be like buy a house for their own and no
So
renting.
the problem here is the same. You're making the same mistake. Look at it again. In the long run, they wanted to buy a house. What sounds wrong?
Wanted.
Why?
Just why this is
Why is it wrong?
because
Should it not be wanted?
shouldn't be wanted, but
What should it be?
they just want.
Exactly. No past tense. We don't need past simple here. You also said was there when you paraphrased. Same mistake, yeah? So it's just you were talking about general trends, what people want, like general truths. Just present simple. We have, so in short time, of course, when people don't have money, they rent. When they do have money, they buy. Very simple. And then you have the simple idea, and you then enhance the structure. You enhance it with structures, right? You always start simply, and then when you have a simple idea, it's easy to add advanced English grammatical structures to that. Yeah, always start very simple, please, with your part 3, or you might get confused. And when you start simple, it's easy to add idioms to make it spicier, more interesting. It's easy to add more advanced grammatical structures because you don't need to think about content anymore, right? When the ideas are simple. So here, right, rent, buy, versus, it's very simple. What is the core idea? Rent versus buy is the same as what versus what?
Like own and not own.
Well, you just paraphrased. I mean, the reason for that is what? Under the underlying reason, rent versus buy. In your case, you chose what versus what? Rent, little money, buy, a lot of money. Yeah, little money versus a lot of money. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's your core underlying reason. It should be very simple. So you can focus on what instead?
The money.
So you can focus on English grammar and vocabulary. Yeah. I mean, like, you pick a simple idea, so you don't need to think about that idea. You just talk about it immediately, right? You can also separate it like that. So what else can be the underlying reasons there behind renting and buying? What could be like what versus what? So no money versus money, or other reasons. What else could it be? Why would people rent and buy if they have money in both cases? What else could be the reason? Why would someone want to rent if they have money to buy a house?
I think maybe like the apartment that they're like,
well, you see that's already much harder. So you can't think of an idea here, right?
no.
And that means, imagine that happened in the real test and you just can't think of an idea. Then it doesn't matter how much English you know, right? You just can't show anything. So that's why I'm saying it's better to pick a simple idea behind your answer. I can actually give more. I can think of more ideas myself. So for example, someone might just prefer to move around, like travel a lot. Maybe they live 1 year in one country, 1 year in another country. Then they never would want to buy a house in that case, right? If they wanted to do that. So that's another one reason. Maybe they just prefer to live with other people. You usually don't buy a house with other people, but you can rent with other people, right? It could be another reason. But those reasons and ideas are much, you need to dig much deeper to reach them, right? So it takes time. That's why you grab the first simple one.
But
And again,
what if you cannot come up with anything like simple?
well, then you just stand up and leave the room. What else is there to do?
Because I just cannot think of anything else. Or
People always ask me that, right? That's a very common question. Probably one of the most common questions people ask about part 3. Like, what if I get no ideas? Well, then it's like, are you a human at all then? I mean, it's basic human experience. You should have ideas. It doesn't come from English. It comes from just living. So you overthink it. When you say, I have no ideas, you just overthink it, usually.
Okay.
Because normally there's always a simple reason. And maybe the reason is wrong. Like your reason that you're using might be wrong. Maybe like it's never true in real life. But does it matter for IELTS?
I think no.
No,
Like,
it doesn't matter. So like
I
as long as you
make up things.
yeah. So people might rent a place because they like, well, I don't know, apartments versus houses, right? They like apartments more than houses. It doesn't really make sense in like real world, but in IELTS, as long as you can explain it, it's fine. Yeah. Now, you said something about possess there. To possess what estate? Something? Can you finish that again? I mean,
No, like real estate.
what's the full sentence? To
Possess their real estate.
possess real estate. Possess is not a good word. You should mostly forget about it.
Okay.
Like, not. It's very narrow. Hard to use it naturally. A little bit hard to say, but mostly just unfit in most contexts. Just own real estate. We don't say that possess. Like as soon as you say possess, I immediately know that she's trying to paraphrase, but unsuccessfully. That's what I think. Okay. Now we have the problem is about the money. You said, how else can you say that? In other words?
Like their financial state. The current financial state
situation.
Yeah.
Is what? Problem.
Doesn't let them to buy.
Doesn't let them. No, to.
Let them buying a house.
Buy.
Buy a house.
Doesn't, yeah. One more time, the whole thing.
Their financial situation doesn't let them buy a house.
Yeah, doesn't, or you can also use like the hypothetical here, which is wouldn't. So in some cases, financial situation of a family wouldn't allow them to buy a house, right? So in that case, they would prefer to rent. Obviously, the only option would be to rent, right? That's how we speak. I hope you get that. If you don't get it, I can always repeat myself, and there's no shame in asking me to repeat. So and finally, you have one more thing. You said most people will. That is like an affirmative kind of statement. You're very confident in that, right? Like super confident.
Confident about what?
When you say most people will do something, do this or that, most people will. So you are like really sure there, right? Or
Yeah.
not? How do you show that you're not 100% sure? Here, most people might, can, could, or would, yeah? So use less of those like always or will or like 100% kind of statements. They sound less, well, they just, yeah, they sound less natural, especially in your context, like as let's say a student who's answering some part 3 questions you might not be sure about. Makes more sense for you to say like, well, most people probably wouldn't, and you can add that intonation. You see my voice goes up. Probably wouldn't, like that, yeah? So that's intonation. Probably wouldn't want to buy a house yet, yeah? Up and down intonation. So in IELTS writing and speaking, part 3 or task 2 writing, part 3 speaking, task 2 writing, we try to move away from these absolute statements such as will or everyone is and always. Those words shouldn't be your main choice unless you are an expert in that kind of field. Which brings me to another way to buy time. How can you build your like opening to a question around the word expert when you're not sure what to say? Is it better to rent or buy a place to live in? Can you say?
Can you repeat the question?
So we have the word expert, right? Can you think about that and think how you can structure your opening to the question around that word?
Expert with renting and buying a place to live.
So yeah, imagine like you don't know what to say and you need to say something about expert.
I am not an expert in this field.
Perfect. And in other words, who is an expert in renting or buying? I'm not a real estate agent, yeah? I'm not a realtor. I'm not someone who sells houses for a living. So you can replace expert with a topical word or like something about music, right? Well, why do people not go to musical concerts these days as much? So you can say, I'm not a musician, so I wouldn't really know, yeah? I'm not a real estate agent. I wouldn't really know. But I can give you a guess. Can give you my guess. Yeah. You still need to provide an idea. You can't just finish there. Oh, I'm not an expert. That's it. Bye bye. No, like you still need to say something. So you can try. Yeah. Is it better to rent or buy a place?
Well, I'm not a real estate agent myself, but I can give you some of my ideas,
Thoughts? Okay.
thoughts, or ideas on this subject,
Topic.
on this topic.
Yeah. Well, you can continue.
Um,
Yeah, ideas sounds like you have to say a lot, but since you're not an expert, it's fine to say that. But I think the main thing is, right? You can always say that the one main thing is that people simply don't have money, and that's why they rent. And those who do, they buy. Done. Yeah. So this is for extreme cases when you feel completely stuck. Just yeah, like why do people not travel to other galaxies yet? Why do you think?
Because they don't have the money or
Well, you
the
can start the same way. I'm not an expert in that field, right? I'm not an expert in this.
I'm
Yeah,
not,
I'm not like a, what is it?
I'm no expert on that field. So
In the field. Yeah.
in the field, I'm not an expert in the field, or
I'm not an astronomer or something. Something relevant. Not really a job of an astronomer, but whatever. Yeah, something like related. Not an astronaut or something. Yeah. Like that. But I guess people just don't have the technology yet. Yeah. Something simple. Then you can get more ideas later if you can come up with them. So I have given you quite a lot of info there, right? With this, the way you can begin part 3. But it all, yeah, comes down to, that answer, explanation, and example. You can juggle them. Sometimes you can remove an example. Sometimes you can just remove an explanation. So you can choose one thing, right? If you have a lot to say, you can say both. You can explain your first idea, like the answer, and then give an example, both together, but it might be difficult. And then you can give a comment, like what you think, like, for example, so most people cannot afford, like, for example, students can't afford to buy, or they don't want to buy because they would rather live with their parents or something. And what do you think about that? And I think that's okay, or I think that should change. Basically, you say, should it change or should it not change? Yeah. Like the situation can always get better, or you think it's great already. Yeah. That's your choice. So what do you think about the fact that most people can't afford to buy a house in Australia, for example? They have to rent. That's actually the reality.
well, I'm not an Australian, so I cannot tell their situation. But as a human being, I think that the most basic things an individual can ask for is a place to live and to grow. So
How does it make you feel? Is it fair or unfair?
I think it is very unfair for them, for Australians, for not being able to purchase their home,
Their own
their
home.
own home.
So yeah, do you think the situation should change or not?
I think that this will fall onto the government to solve this for their citizens, because the government have the authority and they can make a lot of changes if they listen to their citizens more.
Perfect. Very, very good answer. I like that. We have a few things. Tell their situation, you said. To tell doesn't fit there.
I don't know about their situation.
Yes. How do you say basic?
Like basic needs.
You said basic things, right? Basic needs is better, but you said basic things is a place. One of the most basic things is a place. One is fine, yes? If you say one of the most basic things is a place to live in, that's okay. But if it's just most basic things, like plural, not okay then, yeah? It should be. And then
So
you said
the basic things. One of the basic things is a place to live
in. Yeah.
in Australia.
Yeah, it's a place to live in, a place to live in. And for Australian, you said, what's wrong with that? For Australian. or Australian people. How can you paraphrase Australian people? Australians. The Z is missing there.
Australians.
Yeah. And then you said this will something on the government?
Well, this will fall.
Will what?
Will fall down onto.
No, down. Fall is okay. Not false, though. False is a different word. It will fall. Or maybe not fall. Maybe not will. Just falls currently. Yeah.
Fall.
It's up. Like falls right now. It's already the situation, right? So we don't need to wait for the future. It's already the case. So it falls on the government to do something, or it's up to the government to take action, right?
It is up
to the government.
to the government.
And actually, we don't say fall on. We say
fall to.
Fall to. This will fall to the government, or this falls to the government. I really like the way you structure your ideas. They sound really coherent. The vocabulary is great. But some of these minor issues, they prevent me from giving you the full 7. Yeah.
Yeah, but how can I work on my grammars and
on your what?
How to work on my grammars and
grammar is uncountable. Grammar is uncountable. I cannot say grammars.
Okay.
Grammar is vocabulary countable?
Yes.
No. It's uncountable. So your vocabulary is all the words you know. A piece of vocabulary is countable. An item of vocabulary. Now, how do we deal with that? Well, you are looking at that. You can see that I point out your issues. You fix them. But think about it. Fixing your mistake one time might not make you remember that. So that's why it's always good to, write it out and then later come back to that at least one more time to make a new sentence with the same thing, like where you made a mistake, you just make a sentence with that, and you try to say it without looking at it. So you look at it, then you make a sentence with it, and you try to speak about that without looking at the mistake. That's how professional language learners do it. Yeah, people who speak 15 languages, they just study with tutors like you're doing with me here, but they also do a lot of homework. They come back to their mistakes. They recreate content with those mistakes. They speak aloud without looking.
But sometimes when I sometimes when I'm self-studying, how can I identify my mistakes?
That's why you need a tutor. That's the point. You need a tutor like me.
But
and
outside
record yourself and listen. Do what I do, basically. Become your own tutor. Record your answers and listen carefully. And not just listen. This is part of my practice that I have given you there, made by Stass, which is me. I made all of that. The core of that practice is to record your answers. Then you listen to the answers and you make a full transcript. You know what transcript is?
How can I know
if it's a mistake?
I did wrong.
Okay, there's a very interesting way you can do this. In Google, you can type things like, so for example, you can type text in quotes. So you can see like this. Yes. You have quotes, yeah? And you can type text in quotes. And if you're not sure if something is right, you can simply put it like this in quotes. Text is wrong, for example, or whatever. And Google will try to find the exact combination. And you can just check it, how often it happens. Do you get a lot of pages there? And are the pages from native speakers or not? Yeah? Is it a American website or British website? Then it's okay. if you see some like only a few websites and they are like Indian or something, Saudi Arabian or something, maybe it's not correct. Yeah. For example, I had text is wrongs like this, and it asks you first. It tries to correct you. Yeah. There. You see.
Yes.
It says results for text is wrong. Yeah? But you can still click text is wrongs. Like you add an S at the end, and it might find like one. You see, it found one example on the whole internet. So it's obviously not good, right? You understand what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's how you can check yourself. That's one really good way in longer contexts, right? When you have combinations of phrases, yeah? Instead of just looking in the dictionary. First of all, of course, dictionaries are great. Just check up the words online in the dictionary, see how they're being used. But if you just want to see if what you said is normal speech, you do it like this.
Like, can I use AI, like
Of
ChatGPT,
course you can do that.
to identify the mistakes?
Yes, you can ask it to list all the grammatical mistakes there too, but this is a bit more natural to learn like this, because you'll see the context, you'll see what people say, you'll brainstorm it, you'll remember it better. If ChatGPT does most of the work for you, there's a less chance that you'll remember it. You will probably not remember it as good or as well as when you research it yourself. So a bit more extra work from you goes a long way, helps you remember. Research like that. Research context, collocations dictionaries, right? So for people who want to get 7 or higher, I recommend using collocation dictionaries. Do you know what that means?
To add more collocations to your speaking?
No, it just means that what words go with other words. For example, what word do you want to check here? Like you think you might be using wrong prepositions or wrong verbs or wrong adjectives or wrong adverbs with a word, with a very specific word. You want to see what better adjectives you want to use with that word, or verbs or prepositions.
So I will pick an adjective like beautiful.
So it doesn't paraphrase that for you, right? It just shows you like what verbs we use with beautiful. Be beautiful, feel beautiful, look beautiful, seem beautiful. So that's what people use commonly, right?
Yes.
Make somebody beautiful. Adverbs, you can say exceptionally beautiful, extraordinarily, extremely, outstandingly, remarkably, yeah? So these are natural ways to add a detail to the word beautiful. So instead of saying, I saw a beautiful view, what can you say instead?
I saw an extraordinary view.
Extraordinarily beautiful.
Extraordinarily beautiful view.
Yeah, so that immediately changes your speech from like about band 6, maybe 7 to like more than 7, yeah?
Okay.
Staggeringly, you have a beautiful word here, dazzlingly beautiful view, because the sun was shining in my eyes, right? Dazzling. All right, well, now let me take a quick look before we finish. You need a more specific goal. You have present a point clearly without repeating the sentences again and again. So this should be a very specific goal instead. For example, use this word, use that, try to use this grammar structure, more specific. You can't achieve this goal you wrote here. Like, it's not easy. You have tongue twisters, right? You should listen to that and spot mistakes. I want you to make a list of mistakes next time. Yeah, now it's a bit too much, but next time you listen to this. And let's see, 5 minutes. Wow, that's a lot.
Like, that is the like I have to read the file that you sent me.
You're talking about this file?
Yes.
No, I mean, you don't need to read everything. You can just spend as much time as you want, like minimum 2. Just pick the hardest ones. Try to say them several times, slower than quicker. Yeah.
Oh, so I read all of them and I
That's
repeated.
good. I mean, you are only doing yourself a favor. So well done. But you need to practice, like if you don't have time for the whole document, yeah, I mean the whole form, then you pick a few only, yeah?
Okay.
What else? Idioms, what have you found? Merriam-Webster, you misspelled it, but okay, wide range of you need to, yeah, you need to tell me what word you looked up, yeah? But okay. Vocabulary expansion, topic friends, vocab boost, socialize. So you try to answer that, yeah? Yeah. Let me see. So that is, yeah, 30 seconds. Yeah, I see. So it's very clear. I like your speech. Well done. We just need to work a little bit on the speed. You might want to start increasing the pace. The way you speak is a little bit faster, yeah? Here, you understand why I added more symbols, because you need to also write down the idioms here.
Oh, so yes.
Not just the text. And I think it's better to use Vocaroo because Reverb changed recently. When I created this document, Reverb, this website, Record Reverb Chat, it used to have 2 minutes of free speech for you. It transcribes your speech. It gives you transcription immediately, right? So that's good. But now they changed it to 30 seconds. So maybe you can move away from that and just use Vocaroo, yeah? Okay, then discourse markers. I see you've done something there. Grammar focus. Yeah, here, you've asked me how to practice grammar. This is a great website, right? And you wrote something, we are, should be were. No, we are, yeah?
Yes.
We're mostly with advanced vocabulary. Okay, so you just check whatever you catch there. You can skip vocabulary-based questions. They're not important in this particular situation. So you found, I searched how to perform your best. Okay, very good. This is great. Learning from the official creators of IELTS, yeah? So this is, you decide to skip, but you don't need to write it. You can skip it. It's not a mandatory question.
Like, I cannot skip it without answering, so I have
You can, because maybe you started already. If you don't start anything, then it allows you to skip it.
Oh, okay.
So just don't put anything in, because I didn't put a, there's no red star mark here. It means it's not mandatory. But yeah, it's good to know. What else? This is the same. You don't need to do that
Yeah,
here.
the rest are all age.
Okay, I see. I understand. But you don't need to. And the core practice comes here, actually. So it starts with this speaking practice part 1. You read this carefully. If you don't understand something, you ask me. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can look at how other people have submitted this. You can check, for example, I used to have this great student Ling. She would spend a lot of time on this homework, but she would mostly focus on, I think, part 3. So she would sometimes skip everything. But yeah, look, part 3, she would do a lot. So she would write a question, and she would answer, and then she would listen to herself and write everything down, including her hesitations, some of the issues. And at the end of that, you see 6 questions here, and then she would find hesitations, repetitions, and she would fix her issues herself like that. She would do this herself. You can do the same. For example, if you have little time, just pick part 3, do only that. Or if you feel like you're lacking idioms, which you might be, so you look that up, practice that, yeah? Discourse markers. You want to read more tips today, you do that, yeah? So you open this form and you choose whatever you feel like doing. You can skip some parts, do some parts. I try to make a comprehensive practice, but only the best exercises. You even have you have shadowing, and you even have, where was it? Confidence boosting, language exchange app. You can read that later also. Episode is so good. Have you heard of it before?
No, most of the websites that you put into, I haven't. No.
I only put the best of the best, right? So this is episode and it's free. You join and you can speak for 7 minutes on a given topic with another person in the world. Yeah.
Okay.
So with video, this is great. You have it in the practice, so you can check it there. A lot of my IELTS students love this. They go there and you just focus on the topic, even if the person is like asking you something else, you can ask them to focus on the topic only. You can try. It depends. Some people like it, some don't. So you don't have to like it. You just try it a couple times. Some of my top students, they loved it actually, but it's not for everyone. That's why I also have me, like you practice with me. But
Yes.
right now, when do we meet next time? Then let's wrap it up. Yeah, we've been going on for quite a while. When would you like to meet next?